friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. Today's video is going to be my 2021 Best of Beauty. These are my favorite things that I tried this year. A lot of these did come out in 2021, but some of these are just new to me in 2021. I've raved about these so many times. I don't think there'll be any surprises. I don't think I forgot anything. I did like a lot of things this year and I really tried to narrow it down to like my favorites of my favorites, so we're gonna get into it. Before we get into this though, I did recently also do a reacting to my 2020 Best of Beauty, so if you wanna see that video, you can check that out. I kind of just go over everything again and chat about if anything is still a favorite or not, so we'll see if any of those stood the test of time. And before we get into this video, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on my channel by the time this video comes up. It's part of my 2 looks video with my Bad Witch Club palette from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. And let me just give you my accessory details. My plugs today are from Love Kills Boutique. This choker is from Shop Sun & Co. You can use my affiliate code battybean for 10% off. And this ring is from Etta Love. Oh, and my big fake bun is from insert name here, and I love it. I think it's so cute. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into my Best of Beauty 2021. We're just gonna go in the order that I do my makeup, and the first thing that I personally do is primer. I do primer before brows so that it can really sink in. I didn't try any new primers this year that I like fell head over heels in love with. I'm still loving my same long-term favorites, so we're gonna skip over that category and get right into brows. So this one I technically bought at the tail end of 2020, but I've been using it literally almost every day in 2021, so I figured this would be a good time to mention it. This is the brow glue from NYX. This is like super glue for your brows. It really does keep them pointed up and fluffy and where you want them to stay. It's a clear brow gel and it is my favorite brow gel. This is my second one and I'm almost out of it. I actually need to order another one soon. This is my absolute favorite thing. It's one of my favorite products in my collection because I just use it all the time. The best clear brow gel I have ever used. The only thing that comes close to this is if I use like a brow wax with water and do the soap brow technique, but this just makes it so much easier because I don't have to get up and get water or anything like that. It's so simple and I love this. And the other brow product I fell in love with this year is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen. Again, I don't think this came out in 2021, but I've been using it so much of 2021. I love this. I personally use the shade Ash Brown and it is just such a good brow pen. It's so pigmented and it really just draws those nice fine hair-like strokes so easily. I actually stopped using this recently because I bought the ColourPop brow pen, so I took a break from this to give that one a try. And while I like how tiny that point is, it's just not very pigmented, so I have to try really hard to get just a few strokes in before it kind of loses its pigmentation. And I just recently started using this one again and I forgot how amazing this is. The pigment is insane and I just love how precise it lets me be with drawing little brow hairs. Moving on to foundation, I actually did discover 2 things that I really love. First being the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. I use the shade Fair 20, I'm wearing it right now. I love this. It's one of my favorite foundations in my whole collection. It's very lightweight, but it could probably be built up to about a medium coverage if you wanted to. I personally like a little bit more of a light to sheer coverage. This is very dewy, very just hydrating and lightweight, and I really enjoy this one. This year I also discovered the Fenty Skin Tint. Mine is in the shade 1. While I do really like this, I find I do have to mix this one with the moisturizer just to give me a little bit more hydration because it's just, I wouldn't say it's drying, but it's just slightly not hydrating enough for my normal to dry skin, but I do like it as long as I mix in a moisturizer with it. I like the light coverage that it gives and it just leaves a really nice finish. Again, provided I mix a moisturizer with it. I think this is nice and solid. I like the little packaging. I think this is a good solid one to have. Next up for concealer, I discovered probably my favorite concealer ever. This is the Rare Beauty concealer. Mine is almost gone. I'm scraping the edges. This was actually a subscriber gift. Thank you, Justine, again so much. Mine's in the shade 130N. I've been using this every single day as my concealer for probably close to half a year now. I really like this. I will repurchase this at some point. I probably won't repurchase it right away because I do have a couple other concealers that I need to kind of work through, but I do love this. It's so creamy. It's kind of like a medium buildable coverage. It's not crazy full coverage, which I do prefer again because it doesn't make my under eyes cakey. I like the kind of natural satin finish. This is a beautiful concealer. It blends so flawlessly. The next category is setting powder, and I didn't discover any new setting powders this year that I felt like I should rave about, so we're just gonna move on to bronzer. This is the Fenty Inda Sun Bronzer. Again, this one isn't new, but it's new to me. I've been using this for almost a month now, maybe 3 weeks. I love this. It's the bronzer I'm wearing right now. It's such a beautiful shade for pale skin. I love how it blends out. It blends so easily and so softly. I never have issues with this getting like patchy or not staying like the same consistency all over. Because sometimes I use a bronzer and it'll like stick to one area really well but not another area. This just goes on so easily like a dream. It glides on so beautifully. I'm thrilled with this bronzer. It's currently my favorite bronzer in my whole collection. I think this is amazing. I'm honestly like mad that I slept on this for so long because I've been debating buying this for like a year now. Moving on to blush. I have quite a few blushes to talk about. I think I have 10 things total. I have a couple creams, a couple single powders, and a couple palettes. I guess let's go over the creams first. I discovered 2 blush sticks from ColourPop that I love with my whole heart. This one is in the shade Cottage Life. It's just a beautiful, warm, kind of terracotta neutral. Oh, and it's so pretty. And these blend out so easily. I've loved the blush sticks for a very long time, but they recently reformulated it to make it even better. And I do find it blends even better than it did. And I didn't really have a problem with it to begin with. And this one is Winona Forever. It's just kind of a beautiful burnt rosy shade. Ooh, it's so grungy and so pretty. I love this color. These 2 blush sticks are amazing. Next is one of the Melt Cream blush lights. Again, this is a recent favorite, but I'm already head over heels in love with it. I'm wearing it right now as my blush. I bought another shade in this, but I haven't worn it yet, but Polished is beautiful. This one has been on my wish list since it came out, and I'm so glad I finally got it. It's just a beautiful kind of sheeny coral with some gold in it. Ooh, it's beautiful. I love it. And the last cream is my melting blush from Rare Beauty. This one in particular is the shade Nearly Neutral, and I love it. It's just a very soft neutral shade. It can be built up to be a little more pigmented, or you can wear it a little bit more sheer. These truly do melt into the skin and give you just such a flawless finish. I'm obsessed with those melting blushes. All right, let's get into those single blushes now. First is another melt one. This is my Buzzkill blush. It's one of those like duo glowy blushes, and they are so pretty. I will swatch both for you. Just look how beautiful those shades are, and mixed together it's just so glorious and so reflective. You could potentially wear it as a blush highlight duo, but this is just too dark to be a highlight for me, so I usually just kind of swirl it all together. I love this. It's so sheeny and vibrant and amazing. If you don't like a shimmery blush, you would hate this, but I just love it. It's so incredibly glowy. Next is from ColourPop. This is Aloha Honey. This came out over the summer and I love it. It is so bright and fun. It is just such a bright kind of neon coral, and it's just so cute. It's such a good pop. It's a matte blush, but I feel like if you have glowy products underneath, they shine through nicely. This is just so much fun. This one made me so happy when it launched, and when I first used it, I fell in love with it. And my last ColourPop blush is the shade Trippin. This is beautiful. This came out early in the year and I love it. It's just such a beautiful, warm, glowy brown, and I am in love with it. It is such a cozy blush. That's always the best word I can describe for this, because it just makes my cheeks look so warm and glowy and cozy, and I'm just obsessed with it. I wear it very frequently. It's one of my favorite blushes in my whole collection. It is fantastic. And the last one I wanted to talk about is my Be Perfect Scorched Baked blush. This is in the shade Melt, and it's so good. This is such a smooth but glowy formula. So if you're looking for glow but you don't want shimmer, this is the formula for you, because while it just offers such a beautiful lit from within, lovely glow, it doesn't have shimmer or sparkle to it. It's just radiant and amazing. I really want to pick up more blushes in this formula because it's just so good. And next I just have 2 palettes. This is my Aether Beauty Amber Crystal Charged Cheek Palette. I've raved about this so many times. I just love these shades. We have a beautiful highlight and 2 amazing blushes. And even though the blushes are technically matte, I feel like they have enough of like a satiny finish to where like your glowy products show really nicely. These blend like an absolute dream. I fell in love with this when I used this early in the year. It's so incredibly beautiful. Again, one of my favorite blushes in my whole collection is this like whole palette. And this is my Lunar Beauty Moon Prism Blush Palette. This was a subscriber gift as well, and I'm so grateful for this because it's one of my favorite blush things in my whole collection. I love all 6 shades. I especially love the glowy one, and I would love for him to come out with more glowy blushes. Manny killed it with this palette, and I'm mad that I slept on this one as well because it's so pretty. Actually, I remember I wanted to buy this when it launched, but it sold out really fast, so I'm really happy I have this in my possession now. The only other thing I'm lusting after from his brand is that white, I think it's called Mercury Highlight, but it's always sold out. Eventually I'll get my hands on it, but regardless, I love this. I'm so thrilled with it. It didn't come out this year, but it's new to me this year, and I just had to rave about it again. It feels so weird that like it's time to do 2021 favorites. I can't believe this year is coming to an end. I feel like it went by really quick this time. The older you get, you know, it goes by quicker every time. Getting onto highlight, I have 5 that I wanted to talk about today. I will first quickly shout out the only liquid highlight that I loved and also currently possess. I actually decluttered all of my liquid and cream highlights because I'm just not really a big liquid and cream highlight person. They just don't always work well for me. This one works well for me. This one is beautiful. It works great with makeup. It looks beautiful when I don't want to wear makeup, but I just want like a glow. It is just so pretty. Ooh. It's bright, but soft at the same time. It doesn't have sparkle to it. It's just bright and smooth. It melts into the skin so beautifully. This is the ultimate liquid highlight in my opinion. Next, we can just get the palette out of the way. This is the Aspen highlight palette from BH Cosmetics. Again, I don't think this came out this year, but it's new to me this year. I've fallen so in love with this. It's beautiful. So many lovely, colorful shades. Some of them are duochromes, and they are so good. I reach for this very frequently, and I'm very impressed with it. I'll just quickly swatch some of these shades here. We'll swatch the white, blue, and this pinky one. Look how pretty those are. They're so soft and smooth on the skin. I can use all the shades. This one's a little dark for me, like it's a little too pigmented, but it still kind of works because it's a color, but sometimes I mix this one with the white just to lighten it a little bit. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And this white in particular is so bright. I love it. Getting on to the singles. This is my Aether Beauty Pure Diamond Dust Highlight. I love this. It looks just like pure wetness on the skin. I actually have a pretty big dent in here because I've used it so many times. Do you see how wet that looks? It's amazing. I'm running out of room already. It's right here. It just looks so pretty. And again, they did a good job where it looks just mostly wet and glossy without it being overly sparkly. There are some sparkles in it, but to me it doesn't look overly glittery. I do like a glittery highlight, don't get me wrong, but if you're looking for something not glittery but very wet looking, this could be a good one to look at. Next is my Be Perfect Get Wet highlight. This is in the shade Skin Sheen. My goodness, I love this. It is absolutely amazing. It has kind of a putty texture to it, but it works on top of my powders just fine. I don't have to use this like as a cream. Oh, I'm so out of room. It's so wet, and this one is really sparkly, and it kind of has like a sea foamy, minty kind of shift to it, but it's mostly translucent as the base. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And when it captures like sunlight or even like low light with lights hitting it, this is magical. It is so enchanting, and I absolutely love it. It looks both smooth and sparkly and just very wet. Love it. And this last one is definitely cheating. I literally just put it on for the first time today. But I want to kind of shout it out, I guess, as an honorable mention. I'm wearing it right now. It is the brand new Kaleidos Gifted Highlight. It's their new multi-chrome highlight. It hasn't even launched yet at the time that I'm filming this, and it only just got delivered to me last night. Oh, but it's so pretty. It is such a beautiful pinky shift. I'll put it at the top of my hand here. Do you see how intense that is? It's so cool. It's different than Prophecy because this one has like a stronger pink shift in my opinion. I love this. I already am just so head over heels. I love the Space Age highlighters in general. So when this one came out and I swatched it for the first time and then put it on my face, I was like, okay, I kind of have to put it in my Best of Beauty because this is such a good launch. This is so pretty. I'm so excited about it. They kill it with their highlights, and this one is no exception. And that's actually it for the face. I didn't discover any new freckle products that I feel like I need to shout out in this video, and I also didn't discover any new setting sprays that I feel the need to shout out in this video. I did, however, before we get into eyeshadow, discover 2 new eyeshadow primers that are my absolute favorites. The Milk Hydrogrip Eye Primer is so good, and so is the ColourPop Party Proof. The Hydrogrip one is just clear, and it has a little bit of tackiness to it, but not so tacky that I feel like my makeup gets patchy on it. I love this. I know it has very hit or miss reviews, but I personally love it. I think it's amazing. It is hands down my favorite eye primer ever. And a very close second is the translucent Party Proof one from ColourPop. This one does again have kind of that translucent finish. I feel like it has a little bit more of like a slight pigmentation to it than the Hydrogrip, which is totally clear. And this one has a very pillowy texture. It is the best description I have. It's just very soft and kind of plushy feeling, very smooth. And I really, really like this one as well. These are my 2 new favorites of all time. Okay, getting into eyeshadow palettes. I had such a hard time picking for this video. I ended up narrowing it down to 20. And even that was really hard. I really struggled. I just put these in alphabetical order by brand because I didn't want to try to rank them or anything. I do have a ranking video of all my 2021 palettes coming at the end of the month, so that will be coming. Stay tuned. All right, kicking it off with Ace Beauté. The Tropical Vibes palette blew me away. This is hands down my favorite palette they've ever come out with. I love this color story. It's so grungy and swampy and amazing. I like that they went with kind of swampy jungle vibes and like greenery versus like typical tropical beachy kind of vibes. I love this. I think the mattes blend out beautifully. They recently updated their formula and all of their palettes are their new formula now, and I really enjoy it. I personally never had a problem with the old formula, but if you're someone who did, maybe you'd really like the new formula. This is wonderful. I love this color story so much. Next up, I finally got around to trying Beauty Bay's brand by Beauty Bay. The Wilderness palettes. Holy cow, this is one of my favorite palettes of the year. I mean, I guess all of these are some of my favorite palettes of the year, right? That's redundant to say. This is beautiful. I've done multiple videos with all of these palettes. You can search my channel. I've also done Instagram videos with most, if not all of them. Look at this. It's just so pretty. I love the blues and teals with the swampy greens. There's warmth in here. It's such a lovely and aesthetically pleasing color story. And also the Age of Opulence palette. This is beautiful. I'm actually going to New York City with Zane's parents and sister in a couple days. I think I'll be there or just gotten back by the time this video goes up, and I think I'm taking this one with me because it's glamorous but also colorful, and I'm really into it. I personally am really enjoying Beauty Bay's matte formula. I find it to be very pigmented, but it blends really nicely, and the shimmers are so metallic and sparkly and glitzy and all the good things. I love them, and I'm very excited to see what they come out with in the future. I might not buy every release because I don't have that collector's mentality anymore, but if they have a color story that really catches my eye, I might jump on it, especially because their price point is really affordable. Next up, Blend Bunny Cosmetics, the Surge palette. This is amazing. I love this. This was my first time trying the brand, and I'm so glad that I did because it is such a masterpiece. This is laid out so beautifully with the pastels, the neons, the deep, rich jewel tones, the shimmers. I love this. The mattes blend out so flawlessly. They are so incredibly easy to work with. They practically blend themselves. I am such a fan of this brand. Sticking with Blend Bunny for just a second, their new 5-piece brush set is also one of my favorite things. They sent me the first set and I bought 2 on my own because I just love them so much. I'm debating buying like another set or 2 just because I want to have them at my disposal constantly, and I'm constantly cleaning them so I can use them all the time. They're just so small and precise, little teeny tiny pencil brushes and just really small precise blending brushes. These are absolutely fantastic. They're such good brushes, so I wanted to shout those out really quick. All right, getting into ColourPop, there were 2 palettes that really stood out to me this year, and really just those releases in general stood out to me. First being the Limoncello palette. This whole collection was very aesthetically pleasing. That's where my Cottage Life one came from, I believe, the blush stick. But this is just really pretty. It's not like completely up my alley. I'm not a big neutrals person, but I like this palette. I like how it's laid out. I like the pop of blue and yellow. There's some really pretty duochromes in here. I think they knocked it out of the water with this one, honestly. It's very different than some of the things they do. I thought this was a very beautiful release from them. And this one is the Lush Life. Again, that whole collection in its entirety was really pretty. Yeah. It's just all the good things. I like the different blues, the greens, the warmth. It's just very pretty. It's another kind of jungly vibes palette, but it's different than the Ace Beauté one because the Ace Beauté one's more like grungy. This one's more vibrant, and I just really like it. I had a good time playing with this one. So I wanted to shout those 2 ColourPop releases out really quick. We all know they came out with at least 500,000 palettes this year, so I wanted to kind of pick my absolute favorites that they've done. Next up, Give Me Glow Cosmetics. This one's also a little bit cheating because I only just started using it. I used it for the 2nd time today, but I have to shout out the Bad Witch Club palette. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's what I'm wearing right now. As soon as they showed this color story on their Instagram, I lost my mind. I think it's one of the prettiest color stories that's come out this year. It is absolutely amazing. I love the witchy vibes with it, with the names and the theming. The colors are beautiful and I'm having such a good time. Give Me Glow has one of my favorite formulas, and so far I'm having a beautiful time with this. I'm so inspired by it, so I just had to throw it in this video because it truly is such a good launch this year. I'm having a blast. Next up, from Glaminatrix, earlier this year they launched their You Beauty palette. This is an Australian themed palette because it is an Australian brand, and it's so good. Mine's a little crumbly and dirty because my yellow exploded in the shipping to me, but this is beautiful. There are such lovely multi-chromes in here. I love the deep, rich rich mattes. The shimmers are so reflective. This is such a beautiful palette, and I don't have a color story like this at all. I think it's so well done, and this definitely deserved to be in this video. Glam Light Cosmetics. I finally tried them this year, and the Michaela palette honestly blew my mind. I love this one. The shimmers that are in here are so incredibly reflective, and the mattes blended like an absolute dream for me as well. I love the colors. I think it's such a fun color story without it being like just a traditional rainbow. I think this is such a good one, and I definitely have my eye more on Glam Light now that I know how wonderful their formula is. Most of their releases just don't totally speak to my soul, but I do have my eye on them more, so if a color story comes out that super speaks to me, I will likely jump on it. Getting into Kaleidos, this is my Club Nebula palette. This was in collaboration with Angelica. It's not available anymore, but it was such a hit at the beginning of this year. She did such a good job with this palette. The colors are amazing, these rich, deep mattes with the bright, fun shimmers. There are a couple multi-chromes in here. This is such a stunning palette, and I just am so proud of her. I'm happy for the brand. This was such a killer release. And also from Kaleidos, I have to talk about the Flower Punk palette. Easily one of my favorite launches this year. It's just so beautiful. Look at this color story. Are you kidding me? The turquoise with the dusty pinks and the grungy olivey chartreusiness. I love it all so much. Such a beautiful color story. I've had so much fun with this. Easily like probably my favorite palette in my collection aside from my personal collab palette. This is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Next up, Lethal Cosmetics. I have to shout out another collab palette. This is the Lethal is Dead palette in collaboration with Teresa is Dead. Look how cute this is. It's so wonderful. It has kind of those like grungier tones as well, and all of the shade names pay homage to like horror movies. It's such a beautiful release, and again, I'm just so thrilled for Teresa. I'm so excited for the brand. This was such a wonderful release. It was a killer release. Pun intended with the horror themed palette. This one was a great one this year. I also wanted to shout out the Velvet Dusk palette. This is one of my favorite palettes I've tried. I got this at the very like tail end of December or very beginning of January. I think it was the very tail end of December, but I didn't technically try it until January. I love this. This was also a subscriber gift, and I'm so thrilled. I was also gifted the After Dark, which I also love, but again, I was trying to narrow it down to 20, so I'm specifically shouting out the Velvet Dusk because I like this one just a teeny bit more. I love these deep, grungy shades, and the shimmers are insanely beautiful, and I've been really excited about this palette all year long, so I definitely wanted to throw that in this video. Next up, Likely Makeup came out with another release this year. I think this is their only release they did this year. I think maybe they did colored lashes. That might have been last year actually, though I can't remember. But regardless, they came out with their first eyeshadow palette. This is the Ugly palette, and I've been having such a blast with it. It's so incredibly pigmented, but they blend really, really nicely, and the shimmers on the bottom leave your eye with such a beautiful kind of wet metallic sort of look. I think this is a very creative color story without it being just a typical rainbow. It's a little bit more tweaked than a traditional rainbow, and I really have been enjoying this one. All right, Lunar Beauty. I had to shout out the Moonspell Volume 2 palette. This one got kind of hit or miss reviews from people, but I personally loved it. I felt like the mattes were lovely. They blended out beautifully. I like the colors in here. The shimmers are wonderful. Specifically Luna, that one is so reflective and sparkly on the eyes. I really loved this one, and I was really excited to see a continuation to Moonspell because that first one that launched a couple years ago I loved, so I'm really happy to see another one in the collection, and I would not be mad to see these every so often because they're just wonderful. And just the fact that they look like a book, I will literally never declutter these for that reason. Even if I decide I hate what's on the inside, it's decoration. It has to be a decoration. Next up from Melt Cosmetics, this is the Mary Jane palette. This is another one that got hit or miss reviews. Melt in general gets hit or miss reviews, but I've personally yet to meet a Melt product that I don't like. I just get along with them really well, and I love this one. These cool tone neutrals with the grungy twist to them, like these shades over here, fuel my body. I love the shimmers, and the mattes blend so good. Again, I'm not a huge neutrals person, but when I do want neutrals, I love cool tones like this. This just screams to me, and I was very thrilled with this release as well. Next up from Nomad Cosmetics, the Iceland palette that launched earlier this year made me so happy. Look at these colors. We have the beautiful kind of fire and ice kind of feeling. The shimmers are so incredibly sparkly and glitzy. and the mattes blend so beautifully. I love the combination of the very like icy blues with the vibrant oranges. I love the pop of like purple and green. It is so cool. There are so many unique shades in here too, like this one and this one. They have kind of like a weird shade to them, but weird in a good way. I love this one. It's probably my favorite palette they've ever launched, actually. All right, Odin's Eye. Everything they've launched this year I've loved. I would debated talking about every single thing, but I was like, no, no, no. Rein it in a little bit. Pick your just couple favorites. So first of all, the Norns collection launched earlier this year, and that entire collection was amazing. There was the major Norns palette and then 3 mini palettes, so I figured I would talk about my favorite of those. And it actually is one of the mini palettes. The Erd palette makes me so happy. It's just this cute kind of olivey green palette, and the shimmers are so amazing, and I love the choice of mattes. I feel like for it being a 6-pan, it's very versatile. You could do a lot with it. And again, those shimmers, Odin's Eye shimmers are just amazing. And then later on, the Saga of Freya collection launched, which is beautiful. I almost talked about the Cat's Breath, but again, I was really trying to condense it down. So fast forward a little bit, the Legendary Diversa collection came out, which was a huge collaboration with 3 different creators. We had Judy, Tina from the Fancy Face, and Annette's Makeup Corner. They all made killer palettes. But my absolute favorite of the 3 is Annette's palette, the Giant Wolves palette. This just color story screams to my soul. It's grungy and muted and colorful all at the same time. The shimmers are amazing. The multi-chrome down here is breathtaking. I'm so excited about this, and they just truly killed it with their launches this year. I get so excited every time Odin's Eye announces something new. They just do such a good job, from their packaging to their formula to the color stories. Everything is always chef's kiss. I love it. And finally, last palette, we have a palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, formerly known as Alien, but now they are Unearthly Cosmetics. The Not Normal palette was such a hit for me this year. I call it my grungy Beetlejuice palette, and I stand by that. It is so pretty. Again, it's that just lovely mixture of depth and grunginess with colors, and the shimmers are so pretty. I've had such a blast with this one, and they're another brand that I get really excited every time they launch something new. I don't try everything out from them, but I do just enjoy watching this brand do things. I don't really have any like glitters or single like super shocks or anything like that. I kind of just didn't really try a whole ton new of that category that I felt like I loved so much that I needed to talk about in this video. Plus, I did a lot of decluttering this year, and there aren't a lot of those things in those categories that survived. I have a very small collection of those categories now. So we're gonna move on to lips. I guess let's do glosses first. First is from ColourPop. It's the Lizzie Gloss. It's what I'm wearing right now. I love this gloss. It's a plumping gloss, but it smells like bubblegum. It's just clear with little glitters in it. I'll still swatch it just so you can like see it. But it's clear with little glitters in it, and the glitters really do like stick nicely. It's not just like a teeny little like shimmer, it's actual like glitter specks, and I really like it. I can't personally feel the glitter specks when I rub my lips together, but they're very cute, and I like them a lot. And I already knew I liked the plumping gloss formula, and that combined with the bubblegum scent makes me really happy. Next, I want to chat about the Glossy Lip Stain. This one in particular is called Clap If You Believe. These are very interesting because they feel just very cold and wet when you apply them. And they have a really nice kind of glossy finish, but once that gloss kind of wears away, there's still a tint left behind. These are a really good formula. I only have a couple shades in it, but I really enjoy it a lot. And the last gloss I want to talk about is my Lunar Beauty Bitchcraft Gloss. This is wonderful. This came out with the Moon Spell Volume 2, and it's just such a good color. It's kind of this pinky rosy color with little sparkles in it. Ooh, this is so good. I've reached for this gloss quite a few times ever since it launched. It makes me really happy. Moving on to regular lipstick, I have 2 to talk about. First being the Lippie stick from ColourPop. This is in the shade Chakra Wave. It's just a neutral at the end of the day, but it's such a pretty neutral. I wear this shade a lot. Like, I could probably get away with wearing this almost every day and I'd be really happy with that, but I try to switch it up just to give variety. But this is such a beautiful shade. It's very matte and it goes on very smooth. It doesn't make my lips look super dry or anything. It's really good. And next is one of the Vice lipsticks from Urban Decay. I have no clue if this particular shade is new or not. I know they sent it to me this year, but I don't know much more than that. But it's a beautiful shade. It's a little bit more pinky than the one I just swatched, but it's still in that neutral kind of realm. I wear this one a lot as well. It's very comfortable. This one has a little bit more of a sheen to it. It's not a full matte. It's very lovely, and I've worn it quite a few times since I got it. And last are liquid lipsticks. Again, I have 5 more formulas, but I have a couple different shades in some of these formulas because I couldn't pick just one. First thing is the ColourPop Fresh Kiss Lip Cream. These are supposed to be kind of the new version of the Ultra Satin lips that they used to do. And while I don't have one of those anymore to compare, I do feel like it gives me a similar vibe. It's very creamy, it doesn't dry down totally matte, and it's very comfortable. This is in the shade Babydoll. I wear this one a lot as well. I'm so glad I bought this one because it's so pretty. I actually might want to pick up a couple more shades. I will say this formula in the dark shades is not very good. I bought the shade Docs as well, and it's very patchy and just not a great experience. So I only recommend the lighter shades for sure. And next are the Aether Beauty lip creams. This one in particular is in the shade Protect. These are very comfortable. Again, these are also kind of that like creamy liquid lipstick where they don't dry totally down. They stay more like a creamy formula. Very comfortable, very lightweight. I really, really like this formula as well. Next up, keeping with kind of the creamy satiny feel, Unearthly Cosmetics launched 12 new satin liquid lipsticks, and I have 3 favorites. I literally couldn't narrow it down. I did do a whole lip swatch video on my Instagram recently with all of these, and I love them. That one right there is the shade Jeanette. It's just a beautiful kind of murky, grungy, mustardy brown color. It's so good. This one is Mandy. It's a beautiful pukey olive green. Ugh, my heart, it is so pretty. And this last one is Samantha. It's a beautiful, vibrant kind of raspberry pinky red color. It's so pretty. I get a lot of compliments when I wear this color too, let me tell you. And last are the Kaleidos Lip Clays. These are a brand new formula for them this year, and it's so good. I did a full lip swatch video on my channel. I've also done lip swatch videos on my Instagram, so if you need to see them in action, you can do that. There are 16 shades now. I picked just 2 of my favorites. I don't even know if these are my 2 favorites, but they're just 2 of my favorites that I've worn pretty frequently. It's a very interesting formula. It goes on like a liquid, but then it dries down very soft and powdery. It feels very pillowy and plushy, but they're very lightweight. You almost can't feel them. I love these. They're wonderful. This first one is Pink Moon down here. It's just a beautiful pinky neutral. I love this shade. Very comfortable, very opaque. They're just very unique to my collection. I have nothing like them. And this one is in the shade Agave. It's a beautiful, brilliant teal. I wear this one actually more frequently than you'd expect, I feel like. It's very cute, and I really, really enjoy it. So yeah, that is my Best of Beauty 2021. These are my favorite things that I tried. I hope I'm not forgetting something. I'm sure when I'm editing, I'm gonna realize I forgot something. There are some things as well, like I tried a lot of eye pencils, lip pencils, just random things like that, but I didn't like feel like there was one particular shade I wore more than others to warrant it like a #1 favorite. This has been a good year for makeup. There's been a lot of releases this year, so many releases, but there's been some really solid things this year. I would love to know what some of your favorites are. Do you love any of the things I talked about today as much as I do? Do you want any of them? Please leave your favorites for 2021 down below. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me your current favorite emoji, and if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot, and if you're not already, you can follow me on my other socials. You can join the battybean fam. I am battybean on everything. I post every day on Instagram, and I'm pretty active on TikTok and Twitter as well. And if you want, you can subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. I'm posting every single day up until Christmas. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.